Hello, hope you're okay. Today we're looking at Salted Legacy. We're going to learn how to run that. And it's an adventure for first level characters, so let's jump in. This adventure takes place in a marketplace. There's a few games to play, and it's a shortish adventure, but it's got a lot of information that could be taken from this. I think it's quite overwhelming, but let's have a look. A series of disturbances plagues the Din Sing night market, an endlessly changing maze of stalls filled with incredible wares, enticing smells and magical lights. Accusations fly as the characters become entangled in a feud between the well-respected Tianmo and Zungun merchant families of Siab Sung Ko Valley. To prevent the families' conflict from escalating, the characters must earn the trust of the market's vendors and gain their help to unmask who's behind a rash of vandalism and thefts. So I'm going to skip straight down to pronunciation. Sabsung Ko, that's what I struggled with then. I would love to honour the way that these were pronounced, but the fact is that all D&D names can be tricky. And once you've got a way of pronouncing it in your head, it's best just to run with that. Background. The Zungun and Tianmo families have always had a complicated relationship. While their trades and relationships with the Din Sing night market differ, their stubbornness and intense family loyalty are the same. Both believe they're paragons of what a night market merchant should be, while also believing the other family has been jealously sabotaging them for years. Despite this, the current heads of the two families, Lamai Tianmo and Kusa Zungun, have vowed not to continue what is now a multi-generational rivalry. These family heads have even begun to seek each other's counsel and plant the seeds of friendship, but in recent weeks thefts and vandalisms targeting both families' businesses have rekindled old suspicions and the feud threatens to ignite. So if you're familiar with William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, this kind of reminds me of that. Two families at war, and then whereas in that play, it's two of the younger ones, these are two of the heads. So it gives you an idea of setting the adventure, whether you're doing it from playing this book, and the residents of the Citadel itself, that we spoke about in an earlier video. They seek a different selection of goods than they have on offer. So they might be able to travel to Sab Sung Ko and arrive a quarter of a mile from the market, which is impossible to miss. There's a thing for Eberron, and there's a thing for the Forgotten Realms. It doesn't really matter. You can get your characters this place however you wish, even by saying, hey, you just turned up at the market. For more intricacies, for more experienced players, there is a way here of getting the team to understandably need to go. Like, let's look at this one, Trade Expedition. The characters represent their homeland, a group with which they're affiliated, or the Radiant Citadel. You can link them in however you wish, or really you should let the characters link themselves in. So we've got a picture here of a kobold seemingly having pinched some onions or something. Hundreds of temporary stalls, tents and vendor carts fill the Din Sing night market with wonders to tempt even the pickiest customers. The shops surround 3 golden tents in a sunken plaza. Merchants set up during the afternoon, but most don't open until twilight when the evening's cool air attracts customers. So I think we should look at the map. So here we have the market. These must be the 3 golden tents. It seemed to say that it was sunken down, so you have to walk down some steps to it. And then just loads of other stalls around here. That's how I take it. The vendors are a tight-knit community and many have attended the market for decades. Their wares vary from common goods to rarities. Some merchants price their wares plainly, others haggle, trade or exchange good for favours. That could be great roleplay fun, and it's up to some charisma-based roles probably to get things knocked down or agree a trade. That just could be fun. So we have notable shops which we've just seen on the map. I think you're going to need a lot more than these few ideas. This does set out a sentence. Madame Culp's Silk. This store sells luxurious silk garments for no less than 50 gold apiece. I think in the heat of gaming, a young DM, a newbie DM, is going to struggle to remember those. It also gives good inspiration. It inspires you to think of things market-based. So the rival vendors. Lamai and Kusa inherited a long-standing rivalry between their families, but they want to move past it. Circumstances and grudges conspire to exacerbate their enmity. In the course of the adventure, the characters are drawn into their conflict. Lamai is a gnome, has dark wild hair and a wide smile. She recently took over as head of the business, Tianmo Noodles. The weight of the responsibility hangs heavily on her. Personality traits, ideals, bonds and flaws. I generally am only really interested in the flaw. I refuse to back down from a fight if the honour of my family is on the line. Kusa, it's not that I'm paranoid, it's that a lot of people want what I have. And Kusa is a noble kobold, dressed in impeccable purple and gold silk gowns and has polished horns. She runs a respected market stand, Zungoon Family Seafood, and seeks to expand her family's business. She cherishes her son, Gamoon, whom she teaches to take over the business. So naturally your characters are going to walk around the market itself. It's just stall after stall of smells and delights and things they don't know what it is, and it's up to you really to populate the walk. But here's a little bit of text. As the sun dips below the horizon, the Dinsing night market twinkles to life, gradually igniting in a dazzling display. The smells of food carts filled with pot stickers, coconut desserts, spiced meats, sticky buns and more drift amid bright bouquets of glowing flowers and magical lights in the shapes of vendors' wares and whimsical mascots. Crowds of shoppers wander through the stalls, drawn by the colours, smells and music. So I would imagine music playing in the air, and pickpockets, things like that. People getting into arguments about deals. Once they've occupied themselves for a while, shouting rises over the sounds of haggling shoppers and the sizzle of cooking street food. A shrill voice cries out, "Give it back, you little thief!" "No, you're the thief," replies a youngster with a panicked squeak. An instant later, a frantic kobold bursts from the crowd, clutching a sizable bunch of green onions. A flustered gnome woman chases him. Gamoon is the little son who's going to be handed down this stall. Gamoon is technically stealing these onions back in his head. He believes that Lamai first stole these onions from his mother. Gamoon clumsily collides with a random character who are playing, bounces off them, falls to the ground. And a moment later, Lamai catches up and he attempts to yank the onions from his hands while having a shouting match with him. A character can separate the squabblers by intervening physically and succeeding on a DC 12 strength athletics check, or by engaging diplomatically and succeeding on a DC 12 charisma persuasion check. Don't worry about the DCs. That there is just a guide. Less than a minute later, whether or not the characters get involved, Gamoon's mother, Kusa Zungoon, appears from the surrounding crowd. Kusa Zungoon intercedes between Lamai and her son, sternly telling the gnome shopkeeper, "That's enough, Lamai. You're behaving no better than our parents did, stealing from me and attacking my son." This kicks off a fresh bout of arguing with Lamai claiming she saw Gamoon steal the onions, which is true. Gamoon accuses Lamai of first stealing the onions from the seafood cart and knocking it over, which is speculation. Rapid fire, increasingly outlandish indictments and assumptions follow. So you have to have some dialogue here or be able to improvise a slanging match. The arguing kobold woman notices you and turns from her son and the irate gnome shopkeeper. You strangers look like capable sorts. I'm Kusa Zungoon, proprietor of market-famous Zungoon Family Seafood. For a fish typhoon, you'll wish for Zungoon. Help us deal with this scoundrel and I'll make it worth your while." "Scoundrel?" the gnome shouts, turning your way. "You don't look like you're wrapped up in market politics. I'm Lamai Tianmo. Help me figure out what's going on here and I'll give you a lifetime supply of delicious noodles from Tianmo Noodles." Both women turn against each other, quarrelling anew over what they'll offer you to help them. So you're in the middle of a bickering match between these two market traders. And it's a case of how do they handle it. The offers from these two will go up and up until as much as 100 gold pieces, as well as increasingly grandiose delicacies and offering to give them. Both vendors are eager to prove the other is to blame for the vandalism and sabotage both of their market stalls have been suffering. Neither has entertained the notion it might be someone else to blame. So the argument stops eventually. At this point the party can choose to ally with one or the other for a reward of 100 gold. The request is given the same no matter who you go with. Investigate the stands and the surrounding market and prove the rival is sabotaging the opposition. The shopkeeper will take any evidence the characters find, present it to the Dinsing Merchant Collective that oversees the market, and have their rival banned from the market. That is the ultimate NPC goal. If the characters refuse to get involved, One of the shopkeepers approaches them later under calmer circumstances, and that is the DM reminding them that this is the goddamn game, play it. So, gawking crowds disperse, shopkeepers go back to their business. The characters don't get far before another market vendor approaches them. This human man wears a flashy green shirt with a high collar and gold filigree trim, designed to look like hot peppers. He is Arun, one of the owners of the Spice Brothers stall. He and his twin brother, V. Arun, own and operate the stall, which features rare peppers and spices. While V has a zest for life, Kasim is reserved and calculating. He's also the one behind the sabotage currently afflicting the other stalls. Several weeks ago, V told his brother he's getting married and moving to a distant land. Kasim knows he can't continue the Spice Brothers without V's charm and concocted a plan to buy out another successful business. Most businesses in Dinsing Market are family shops that owners would never consider selling. While on a trip to get more stock, Kasim encountered a trio of rare fae creatures called Windlings. Kasim befriended them with a few sweet fruits and brought them back to the night market. He now bribes his invisible friends with fruits to cause disruptions around Tianmo noodles and Zungun family seafood. He doesn't want to hurt anyone, but he hopes to make life in the market uncomfortable enough that one of the families sells its shop to him for a low price. So he is the third party, the Spicy Brothers. So Kasim will lament that the families can't get along. He encourages the characters not to ruin their night, embroiled in politics, and gives them a tour of the market. If they accept, the characters will be walked around for an hour, and we'll get to know the map and everything. He also tells the characters about market games in the centre plaza, and that is a big part of the centre of the game. Kasim then encourages the characters to enjoy their evening, avoid the market games, stay away from the vendors. So that will bring up hopefully an insight check from the players, and they will tell whether he's got something to hide or whether he's just got their welfare up front. So obviously they've got to do some detective work, at which point they're free to start their investigation. So they visit one of the shops, spend at least 5 minutes inspecting the space, then they can make an investigation check. On a successful check, the characters discover nothing unusual except for a few persimmon peels. See Kasim's plan for details on these peels. The character who further investigates these fruit peels learn no stalls in the night market are currently selling persimmons. Kusa and Lamai are at their respective shops, but neither is much help to the characters' investigations, because each is convinced that the rival is to blame, despite having no proof. Other vendors initially claim not to have seen anything strange, unless you do a good persuasion check, and then they might say, "Market business isn't for outsiders, we keep our issues to ourselves." However, a little bit further on, we get to know what the vendors know. Importantly, investigations using magic reveal nothing out of the ordinary. Okay, so we've got a table here of what the brother knows. V shares that he and Kasim had a fight earlier, but doesn't reveal why. V explains he is getting married and moving to a distant land where his betrothed lives. V confides that Kasim is angry about V's impending marriage. Kasim told V he's making a mistake by leaving the family business. And after V told Kasim he was getting married, Kasim took several days longer to perform the regular supply run. He returned with extra crates that he keeps in the Spicy Brothers' private tent. You'll notice this chart is numbered by using Renown Points. Renown Points are like any good video game where you interact with NPCs and they get to know you and loosen up around you. Characters who participate in market games increase their renown among the vendors. Renown is a numerical value that starts at 0. Each player tracks their character's renown separately. Every market game notes how much renown the characters get. And then as you win more games, your points go up, and then the vendors will actually tell you more secrets. And then between the players playing the games, here's a little table to have things happen. There's a fire at the seafood place. It causes the stall's right leg to collapse and the stall is now crooked. Gamoon spots a large wok from Tianmo noodle bowl at Zungun family seafood. A character who examines the wok and succeeds on a DC 14 intelligence investigation check notices the wooden handle has been gnawed by child-sized teeth. And that'll be the Windlings. So, the games that we are not supposed to play Our Arun Family Pepper Challenge is a test of endurance hosted by the Spicy Brothers. Some checks, I imagine. Battle Prawn Challenge, a cooking competition hosted by Sid Squid of the Trusted Leak. And Hide and Seek Challenge, which sounds good, a game hosted by Madam Culp Silk. So, hopefully the characters will want to have a go at these games at some stage. All they have to do is roll up at the event tent and ask to compete. The market games run several times through the evening, but the rules for the 3 games appear here. Now, if you win no points, as it were, at these matches, you still gain 1 renown, as the locals respect their tenacity. If a character wins all 3 challenges, vendors are impressed and call them Re, which means coals of the same fire, so they allow them into their fold. The Pepper Challenge. Kasim and V run the pepper stall, as we know. This test of fortitude and willpower was created by their father years ago. Participants sit at a table with a basket of mixed peppers and several pitchers of milk. During each of the event's 3 rounds, participants must eat a selected pepper. Any participant who eats a pepper each round without reaching for milk or leaving the table until the 3 rounds are over is declared the winner. Violence and magic are not permitted, but no one checks for magical effects cast prior to the competition. If only one of your players or whatever, less than 4, don't take part, put some NPCs in there and just make them, one's huge, one's fat, one's got a massive beard. Just give them, differentiating characteristics. A crowd applause from nearby bleachers as you're led into the broad open space of the event tent. Before you is a square table bearing a massive basket of colourful peppers and several pitchers of milk. "Welcome, challengers, to the Arun Family Pepper Challenge," shouts a bombastic announcer, standing near the table and wearing a red pepper-themed costume. "I'm your host, V. Arun. Is everybody ready to greet the heat?" So they go over the rules again, and then on their turn during each round, each participating character must choose a pepper. The peppers are from the Spicy Brothers' unique stock. The DCs alter for which pepper they are going to eat. On a success, they eat it. On a failed saving throw, they eat the pepper but have disadvantage on the next saving throw during the challenge. That's good. If a character fails a saving throw by 10 or more, they grab the milk, they drink it, they lose. And V needs to be offering commentary while they're doing this. So we go from a pepper that's not very hot to something that'll melt your face off by rolling a d10 and seeing what you get. The DCs are in brackets. That, to me, sounds like fun. So you eat 3 peppers to win, or other people are disqualified. And you're all rewarded with big bowls of creamy yoghurt. And you gain 1 renown. Then afterwards you can talk to V about information about the thefts. And as soon as that starts happening, Kasim runs over with news about trouble in the market. You roll on that market table again. The second game is Battle Prawn Challenge. Here is the map. On the left, Sid's shrimp cakes were voted best dish during a festival competition last year. This challenge, held in the Northern East tent, tests participants' inventiveness and versatility as they prepare giant versions of his signature dish. The tent is decorated in a nautical theme, heavy on rope decor and brass fixtures. Sid, human, and 5 assistants, all wearing yellow chef's outfits, eagerly invite visitors to participate in battle prawns. If characters ask, Sid explains the challenge is simple. Assist in making a giant shrimp cake in record time. Participants must rapidly prepare prawn meat and chopped beans for the sous chefs. If they perform these preparations fast enough, they might complete the recipe in record time. Unless the characters specifically ask, no one mentions the unusual prawns used in the challenge. Up to 4 characters can contribute to this. Again, no magic. Excited onlookers crowd the bleachers within this vast open tent. One half of the space is crowded with cooking tools, a pair of oversized woks, and 2 long cutting stations containing bundles of foot-long green beans. The other side holds a pool-sized glass tank filled with water. The water churns as large, shadowy shapes move within. The western half of the arena holds the cooking implements, and the tank steps at either end lead to the top of the tank. Sid directs the audience attention to 2 special ingredients, delicious green tree beans and giant jagged koi prawns. So Sid explains you need to prepare a bundle of green tree beans and kill a jagged koi prawn. If the characters can perform both tasks in 6 rounds or fewer, they win the challenge. Starting the challenge. Once any questions are answered, Sid's sous chefs position themselves around the large woks, ready to transform the ingredients into the final dish. Unless fewer than 4 characters are participating in the event, these assistants won't help to prepare the beans or the prawns. So 3, 2, 1, start. Massive bundles of green tree beans cover both preparation tables. Participants must chop or mash the beans with various cooking knives at the tables, daggers, their own tools or other methods. Each pile is a single small object, AC 10, HP 15, immunity to cold, poison and psychic damage. A pile is rendered unusable if it takes acid, fire, lightning, necrotic or radiant damage. Once a pile of beans is reduced to 0, the sous chefs add it to the wok. I like it a lot. And then the large tank with 4 8-foot long koi prawns, and you use the giant seahorse stats. So it's only 100 XP, 7 damage if you're not rolling, 16 or 30 full hit points depending on where you play your game. Sounds good. Interestingly, they get half cover from any creature attacking from outside the water, which is their +2 to their AC and dex saves. Ending the challenge. The challenge ends when participants complete both tasks, give up or are defeated by the prawns, because it has to be done in 6 rounds or fewer. You get 1 renown, and then there's another market mischief table roll. And then there's the hide and seek challenge. You go in the tent. Seated at the middle of this sizable empty tent is a wizened gnome at work amid tangles of colourful yarn. Several fuzzy, kitten-sized blue caterpillars drowse on her, nestled in her clothing and hair. The gnome peers up and says, "Welcome, I am Madame Culp. Are you here to play hide and seek with my gentle friends?" So, Culp is an elderly gnome woman. If the characters accept her challenge, she hops up and opens a trapdoor at the end of the tent, and a ladder descends into a dark, messy room full of boxes. Let's look at the map. So the ladder comes down, door, through there, door, goes to the back. So Culp explains that below are a series of rooms where several Tutkrug caterpillars are hiding, and the characters may use magic as long as caterpillars are not harmed. The ladder descends into a dimly lit room smelling of dust and sweet spices. Musty furniture and crates are strewn about the space. A door leads north. Now this is where someone will say, I have dark vision, I can see all over for 60 foot or whatever, but if you read up on dark vision, even at the furthest point, things are hazy, things are grey and hard to make out. You don't just have X-ray vision. So the caterpillars go through the doors because they're old and rickety and fit loosely in their frames. Area H1 is lit by a lantern shedding dim light, and the other areas are dark. So she said, ready, go. And then you basically spend an action and succeed on an investigation or perception check to locate the caterpillars in these rooms, 3, 4, 5 and 7. Once a character successfully finds a caterpillar, they can convince them to come with them by succeeding on an animal handling check, or you can pick one up using sleight of hand. A caterpillar flees to an adjoining room if attacked or if a character tries to grab it and misses. It'll only go a maximum of 10 rounds, and characters need to bring 4 characters back to H1. You get a renown, and you can replay the game. Then you roll on the market mischief table. After the market minigames, they gain 1 level. They level up. Now level 2. As you gain renown, you can find out more information. There's what Madame Culp knows, what Squid knows, what other vendors know. After the characters complete a few market games and make inquiries, they're likely to learn the following. No one has seen members of either Tyan Mo family or the Zungoon family sabotaging the other family's stand, because it wasn't them, was it? V is leaving the market, making Kasim's future uncertain. That plants the seed that somebody might have, the players might work out, oh, there's a bit of ill harmony there. Kasim is behaving strangely and seems fixated on the Tyan Mo and Zungoon stands. That's like basically telling them. So the characters can say, hey, it might be this other stand, it might be the Spicy Brothers, or at least one of them. They might face Kasim further to his face. You can slip into his tent to find out information by making a stealth check. The tent contains business records, costs for both brothers, a large pepper crate that holds 3 straw-lined bird cages and a box of persimmons. That's why we found them earlier, because they are the Windlings' favourite food, and they are in the cages what look empty but have those invisible creatures in. If a character casts Detect Evil and Good near one of the sabotaged stalls, it reveals the presence of a fair creature nearby, a Windling, sleeping on a nearby stall roof. If approached, the Windling turns invisible and flees. If by any chance you have a character who speaks Sylvan, the Windling will say, Kasim found the Windlings in the near mountains and brought them to the market only recently. The Windlings live with their friend Kasim at the Spicy Brothers tent. Kasim offers the Windlings permissions to do errands and play in certain places, usually the stalls. The Windlings aren't malicious, they're just playful and really like persimmons. So they have no loyalty as such to Kasim. Confronting Kasim. He laughs off any accusations, explaining the market is full of gossip. Again, an inside check, but a fairly easy one. If you put out further pieces of evidence, they can coax a confession from him. Let's look at that bit. DC 12, again, not really that high. Brother leaving. If a character asks Kasim about his brother leaving the market, he grows agitated and notes that he's felt betrayed by his brother since V decided to abandon their business. If a character presses Kasim about him buying either noodles or seafood stand, he explains he's looked out for his future. He doesn't care that there's no precedent for buying a family business. If asked about the cages and fruits, he grows flustered and claims he's thinking about getting a parrot. If the party fail at the market games or reaches a dead end in the investigations, Lamai and Kusa get into a public fight at one of their stands. While the shop vendors fight, any character can make an insight check to see Kasim watching with a smile, not realising he's being watched. Characters who then confront Kasim succeed on a DC 14 intimidation check and make him confess. When the plot comes out and everyone knows who's to blame, that's the end of the adventure really. Then there's more information and descriptions about Sabson Co, the area in which the Dinsin market is. Noteworthy sites if you want to extend their playtime. It really goes into it. Consider the plots of these when planning adventures. So, some ideas there. Here are the Windlings. They have a reaction which doesn't happen on their turn. Immediately after a creature that Windling can see misses the Windling with an attack roll, it can move up to 30 feet and it doesn't provoke an opportunity attack. You don't get a little stabby in. And that, guys, is it for this one. I think that's going to be quite good fun. I could think you could throw that in anywhere, when there's downtime almost in the middle of another adventure. When they go to a town, you just get them embroiled in that. I think that's good. I think I might do that myself. Well, I hope you found something interesting there, something useful certainly. And hey, I'll see you on another video.